Hi, this is Mark with AmericanAeration.com, and in this video I want to do a review and provide some suggestions for the best aerator to cover a 3-acre pond. This is a common question we get often enough. What is it going to take to cover a certain size of pond and a certain depth range? What do I need? And so we're going to provide you with 4 different types of aerators today. Each one has its own merits, I think, and all of them in certain conditions are capable of covering up to 3 acres in pond size, and we'll get into the particulars on each one and let you know where they specifically will work best. Before we get rolling here, I want to mention a few things, just kind of an introduction. First of all the systems we're going to talk about today are subsurface aerators. They use a land-based pump, air line, and then have a diffuser or diffusers sitting at the bottom of the pond where they release very fine bubbled air. This is the most, in my opinion, the most efficient and effective way to aerate decent-sized ponds with good depth. Electrical costs are very reasonable. You can aerate 24/7, month after month, helps fish tremendously, increases oxygenation, increases circulation tremendously, and it all does so with a relatively small system. And so I really like diffused aeration for that purpose. Now, apart from the surface area, and we have that set at 3 acres roughly, maybe a little smaller, 2.5 to 3 acres, we could say. But beyond the surface area, the biggest factor in these types of systems and their coverage is the depth that you have to work with. Very simply put, the deeper you can place a diffuser in a body of water, the more pond area it will affect. Conversely, if you lose depth, if you move into more shallow areas or shallow ponds, you simply cannot affect as much of the body of water in a shallow position, and so you have to increase the density of diffusers to move the water. And so a lot of times when you see ratings on these systems, a system that will cover up to 3 acres at 12 or 15 feet deep may be used, or the same system could be used in a pond of, let's say, 6 or 8 feet that's only an acre and a half or so, so it's quite variable, and you want to know the depth that you have to work with. In the systems we're going to cover, the information, the coverage area based on 3 acres is all coming from the manufacturers themselves. I tried to keep this fairly uniform, meaning they're going to say it will cover up to 3 acres at 12 feet deep or 16 feet deep or whatever. I'm just using their information to try to compare apples to apples on coverage. So keep that in mind as you go through this. And also understand that although there are tons of options online now with aeration systems from so many different sources, I think that's great for the consumer in the sense that you've got a lot of things to choose from. I think it's problematic in some ways because I've had customers come to me and say, I don't know what to pick. There's too many. There's so many out there. And I can tell you, they're not all equal. We've been dealing with aerators for 20 years now. And in the early years, we worked with some different brands that were imported or budgetary or budget-minded, I guess is the word. And, it was hit and miss with those. Sometimes you'd get a pump that would run great for years, and the next one you'd get would be shot. And it became too inconsistent for my taste and for what I wanted to provide to our customers. And so we have culled out over the years those that did not perform, were not reliable. No matter if the price was great, if they didn't hold up, they weren't going to be something we would sell. And so what I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt is that the aerators I'm going to present here today are the best, or some of the best in the industry. That's really the question that comes up for people. What's the best aerator for my pond? Well, they are speaking, I guess, in size and coverage, of course, but also I think reliability and performance is critically important. And so that's really what we're going to stay with in this video. So the first two models that we're going to cover are extremely versatile in the way that they can be arranged, meaning the cabinets, the pumps used in all these systems are rocking piston compressors. I am biased to those, to that type of compressor. You'll see others used, but these things are just workhorses. They handle depth, they handle back pressure, they just do great in a variety of conditions. But they do need weather protection, and they do heat up quite a bit. They're meant to run 24/7. So these first two options have a lot of cabinet options. If you have a existing outbuilding shed structure, they both offer no cabinet versions, which you can put in a structure and protect it from the weather there. Otherwise, they have a post mount cabinet, which will mount on a 4x4 post or a dock or even the wall of a building. And they're very versatile, fully protective. Sound dampening foam is included in one of them, just as a default, and then the other one you can actually add it. And cooling fans are included as well. And then both systems have the ground-based cabinets as well. So I think that's a nice thing to keep in mind. If you are looking to save money, the cabinet category is one way to do it. And then all three of the models, the solar excluded, which is of course something you can put right down by the pond. You have versatility in placement with the solar system, but the first three, you can work with remote power locations, meaning if you don't have power by the pond, maybe it's 100 feet away or 100 yards away or 1,000 feet away, you can put the pump in the cabinet by the power source, and you can run some form of burial air line in ground trenched down to the pond edge, where it transitions to either a manifold with multiple ports on it and valves to each airline going to the diffusers, or in some cases, if you're only using one diffuser, it just transitions to the weighted airline and goes into the pond. And so what I've found is, for customers, it's usually less expensive to run this type of a setup than it is to run electrical power down to the pond edge. If you're thinking of doing a fountain down the road, I would run power probably, but for this type of aeration, you certainly don't have to, and it adds another point of versatility in the mix with this type of system. Also, as we get up in size, and a 3-acre pond is a pretty good size body of water, I start to look at using Google Earth and satellite views of the pond to get an idea of its shape and its size, and then from the customer's perspective, I would get information on the depth ranges that are around the pond and a power location that is nearby that we could use to power the pumps. With that information, we would do an aerial mapping and lay out the exact system that would cover it, based on some calculations that are used by the manufacturers for turnover rates and such. We can lay out a system, show you where the diffusers need to go, put the pump near the power source, and then have airline distances calculated between the pump and each diffuser. So with all that info, we can quote out a very specific number for people, and they know exactly what they're getting into. And once they get the system, they know exactly where to put the diffusers and stuff. So I really encourage people to do aerial mappings, probably on any pond over 1.5 to 2 acres and beyond. I think it becomes really not only useful, but very critical for us to get an idea of what it will take to cover a body of water like that. So in our case, we don't charge for aerial mappings. Usually it takes a couple days to get one put together. We send that back, and then we can talk about modifications or how we would, lay things out and finalize stuff. But it's a great option for a larger pond owner, I think. So let's get into the systems now. And the first one I want to talk about is the EZPro Sentinel PA66. This is a 3-diffuser, half horsepower powered aerator. EZPro rates it for 3-acre ponds 12 feet deep or deeper. This is one of those that has the optional cabinet packages, anywhere from very basic, bare bones, pump, airline, and diffusers, all the way up to a deluxe package with a ground cabinet, cooling fan, pressure gauges, all that stuff. So it's a broad range of options, depending on your budget and depending on what you need, you've got some choices there. It uses 3 of the QS2 dual plate style self-weighted diffusers. These are basically easily put together. When you put them in the pond, they sink on their own and they stay down, no ballast needed. It comes with 300 feet of 3/8-inch weighted airline. You could get a no airline option if you wanted to for custom lengths, but 300 is usually a typical place to start. Has a Stratus half horsepower rocking piston compressor. This is an American manufactured compressor. It is built over here by Gast in the United States, and it is a very good performer. Output is 4.5 cubic feet per minute of air. It runs on 3.6 amps on 115 volt. It can be wired for 230 volt upon request. And then the warranty from EZPro on this system is 2 years on the pump and 5 years on all the other components. The Casco Robust Air RA3 is the other system with very broad functionality in terms of the cabinets. It uses also a half horsepower compressor and powers 3 diffusers. It is rated for 3-acre ponds, 8 to 12 feet deep, so it does have a little bit better capability in some shallower conditions. It has a no cabinet, post-mount cabinet, ground cabinet availability. These cabinets all come with sound dampening foam. Very nice systems. Also, in terms of sound output, it is one of the quieter systems on the market because of some things Casco did a few years ago. They installed a module which monitors the air intake filter for its condition. And if it gets dirty and airflow starts to get restricted, this module will have a pop tab that will come up and tell you that it needs to be changed, which is really handy because it's such a simple little part, but you want to make sure that it's in good shape for good airflow. But a side effect of putting this on the system, they found that they could actually reduce the sound output out of the pump itself by 34%, which was significant. And this brought it into line with some of the best, most quiet systems on the market. So that's something to keep in mind if sound output is important. It uses 3 of the Robust Air dual oval diffusers. These are self-weighted as well. My only comment about this diffuser is it was tested in its development against many of the other types of diffusers, whether they be plate style or stick style. It came out rated significantly better, 10% better at a minimum and up to 40% better in terms of its output and effect in the pond compared to some of these other designs. So it is really an excellent performer in the water, and it is a great way to get the most out of the airflow of whatever pump you're putting with it. It comes with 300 feet of 3/8-inch weighted airline as well. That's standard. You can certainly get more add-on lengths of airline and couple that if you need to get longer distances on some of these larger ponds. Casco includes the connector kits with every roll of airline, so you don't have to worry about those. Air output out of the pump is 4.8 cubic feet per minute. That's on a 3.5 amperage running amps, and 115, of course. 230 volt is optional. The warranty is, if not the best, one of the best in the industry. It is 3 years on the compressor, 15 years on the airline, and lifetime on the diffusers and the cabinets. The Airmax PS40 is another good selection here. It is quoted to cover a 3-acre pond, 9 to 12 feet deep or greater. It uses a 3/4 horsepower rocking piston compressor, so we've moved up in horsepower on this compressor. The only drawback, you do get more airflow out of it, but the only drawback is it is going to cost more to run per month. And by the way, I just completed a video the other day on how to estimate actual cost of operation using the amperage information that these manufacturers give you. There's a simple calculator online where you can find out how much it's going to cost to run the thing on a daily, monthly, and yearly basis. I think it's really handy, and I'll try to remember to link to that video in the commentary down below on YouTube here. So it uses a 3/4 horsepower rocking piston compressor, has a very nice ground-based poly cabinet, one of the nicest cabinets in the industry, and it has a cooling fan included in that and some other amenities. It is really a full-featured kit the way it comes, and that's just about the only way I would get it. I wouldn't try to get it with no cabinet or a post-mount cabinet. I think this ground cabinet is the way to go with them. It uses 4 of the Pro Air 4-stick self-weighted diffusers that you see in the image. These are self-weighted and will sink and stay down on their own like all of the others we mentioned. Weighted airline in this kit is sold separately. 5/8 inch airline is used. The system is set up to accept that and connect to that. They have decided to go with no airline because usually as the waters get bigger, people have more need for custom lengths. In other words, 300 feet may or may not do the job. Most of the time you're going to need more, and so they just decided to sell it separately and go that route. The pump puts out 5.6 cubic feet per minute, and that's on 5.3 amp draw on 115. 230 volt can be wired. Optionally, there is a $100 upcharge, I think, with that with the Airmax, but it can be done. Warranty is pretty good. 3 years on the compressor, 5 years on the airline and diffusers, and 10 years on the cabinet. And finally, we want to cover solar. Solar has been gaining a lot of ground in the industry in the last few years, and rightfully so. Systems are getting more capable. And it used to be that they really lacked the ability to handle depth and didn't have great output, and reliability on the pumps was questionable. Well, this one is really a good workhorse. It rates a 3-acre pond, aerates a 3-acre pond 8 to 10 feet deep or deeper, has a 30-foot max operational depth, which is great for a solar aerator. It is a direct drive solar, meaning it operates during the daylight hours only. And with the twin panels, it will tend to aerate not quite dawn to dusk, but pretty close to it. It works well on cloudy days, winter days, overcast. It works well on those. Includes dual solar panels. Each panel is 320 watts. It uses 2 1/4 horsepower rocking piston compressors, which again is kind of a nice addition in these solar packages. Not all of them use those, but I only work with ones that do use rocking piston compressors due to their reliability and the ability to repair them on site. Usually the customer can do it with just a simple upgrade of some piston seals and such, and it's really simple to keep in good working order for a long time. With this system, the weighted airline is sold separately. It includes 4 of the oval membrane diffusers, again self-weighted. Output on the 2 pumps is 5.6 cubic feet per minute combined with the 320 watt panels, and there are 2 of those. The warranty on this system is 1 year on the compressor, 5 years on the airline diffusers and non-wearable parts, and then it's got 20 years on the solar panels. Also want to mention too, you want to check with your accountant on this, but there is likely some solar tax credits available. You'll want to, like I said, check with your accountant or tax preparation person on anything regarding solar tax credits, but this system does apply for those, so you want to keep that in mind. Anyway, I hope this information helps for those of you who have a large pond and want to add aeration to it. These are great systems, and we have them all on our website at americanaeration.com. If you have any questions on anything here or anything to do with pond aeration, or you need an aerial mapping done, reach out to us at American Aeration and be happy to help. Again, my name is Mark, and I hope you have a great day wherever you are.